To order for Tuesday, November 9th, 2021. First item of business is we'll waive the roll call. We have a quorum present. Second item is to approve the minutes from our October 12th, 2021 meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have first and second. Any additional discussion on the matter? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Item 3.1, administrative activities for October 2021.
All right, good morning, Commissioners and President Brom. You have the reports in your packet. I don't have a whole lot to highlight this month for October activity, other than the Garden Terrace expenses were higher last month due to their second half payment in lieu of taxes payment. Otherwise, it was a fairly quiet month for our programs.
Any questions for Heather?
You know, I did see something on one of the reports. The waiting list dropped considerably this month.
Which one?
Is it for Garden Terrace?
Garden Terrace, they've been working on doing their annual waiting list purge, and they've
Okay.
completed that. It took a few months,
think
but
We see that once a year where it kind of gets trimmed down and then it starts going
it'll
back
start
up,
growing
and-
again.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to accept the Economic Development Authority Administrative Activities Report for the month of October.
I'll second.
First and second, any additional discussion on the matter? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 4.1, change order for Broadway House automatic door opening project.
Yeah, so this was a capital fund project, and in the course of installing the new automatic door openers, they had to replace a couple of the electric door strikes. I think just due to age and wear and tear, they just weren't working properly. So there was a change order on the project in the amount of $1,396, and we'll just use capital funds to pay for that in addition to the bid.
Is this project complete now then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, very nice.
It's for winter too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll offer the motion to approve the change order in the additional amount of $1,396 for the Broadway House automatic door opener project.
Second.
We have a first and second. Any additional discussion on the matter? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. Okay. 4.2, EDA claims list for November 9th, 2021.
I just want to point out, I noticed yesterday there's an error on this report. We did not pay $433.50 to Happy Joe's Pizza for annual fire extinguisher checks. That got on the wrong line, so that should be under the Gopher State Fire Extinguisher Company. So we had the annual fire extinguisher checks. We have the annual renewal for pest control with Plunkett's on here this month. I think that's about.
Was it taco pizza? Okay, I just wanted to clarify, because the taco pizza there is second to none.
That's a carryover from last month. It's just a poor edit.
Okay,
And then also, of course, the capital fund project and the change order are on here. So.
sure.
I'll make a motion to approve the EDA November 9th claims list.
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Item 5.1, funding request for New Ulm Economic Development Corporation for an executive director position.
I have to put it on record that I won't be able to vote on this, so I'll have to abstain because I'm on the EDC as well, so.
And I guess I at this time too had asked for clarification. I too, I'm a former member. I have resigned the position as a director on the EDC, and I don't know if, in lieu of the fact that I was recently a member, if I should abstain as well. I just want to clarify on that.
Yes, because you were a former member when this came up, you do have to abstain as well.
And I'll note that as such too, as I will also abstain at this time.
I think I'll hand this one over to Chris.
Yeah, this item was on our October 12th meeting and was tabled for additional information, and we do have members from the EDC here to present on what the executive director jobs or job duties will be and answer any questions that that the EDA has. So I'll turn it over to Shannon or Julie.
Morning, Commissioners. I'm Shannon Hildesheim. I'm president of the Economic Development Corporation, and we did put a request into you. You should have received a letter requesting up to $50,000 to help us fund a portion of an executive director for the Economic Development Corp. As you know, we've been without an employee for quite some time. And New Ulm had recently a strategic plan done for our community, and it was outlined the importance of a private entity. And we were tasked with some strategic priorities in the plan. And we've formed, as you know, there's a New Ulm partnership group now, which has members from all of the stakeholder groups on it. And so we do sit at that table, but we don't have anyone really driving our organization right now, and we feel it's vital to handle the strategic priorities that were assigned to us. So we are looking for funding to help us with that, again, up to $50,000. We're looking to hire someone on a one-year contract basis to see if we can, to see what momentum we can get going, and to have someone whose sole purpose is to be working on economic development. And we'll analyze that at the end of that contract period to see how it worked. But we've had conversations, some good conversations on the New Ulm Partnership Group, how this person would need to work closely with Heather at the city and then whomever will be at the chamber in Michael's absence. But there will be collaboration that will need to be done to make sure that everyone's moving in the right direction. The New Ulm Partnership Group, each of those people would sit on that, and so that's kind of a checkpoint to make sure that we are moving in the right direction and there's not a lot of overlap and things like that. Questions that you might have for us?
Can I make a question, or, okay. Can you just give us a little background on the partnership, Shannon, just for the members that may not be aware, because just a couple things. It's broad. I mean, we've got people that are involved with various aspects that are involved with the area of economic development. And would you categorize at the partnership level broad support for this position being filled?
I believe so. Some of you sit on the committee as well. The New Ulm Partnership doesn't vote. It's simply a group that we formed. So the city sits on it, EDA, Economic Development. We've got the PUC, the mayor. If I'm missing anyone, it's,
Chamber.
and chamber, sorry, yes.
The school.
And the school district,
Yeah,
yes,
New Ulm
Jeff from the
Foundation.
school.
Right.
So it's kind of a group to make sure, we kind of all report what we're working on, to make sure that we're following the strategic priorities that were laid out in that plan. And we're trying to set timelines, and again, the New Ulm Economic Development Corp has a vital role in that plan, and we just feel we need some help here getting traction to make that happen.
I have a question. If we give the $50,000, will we have any say in who is brought on in that position?
We'd like the hiring to be, this would be our employee. We do have someone from EDA sitting on EDC, so there would be that connection.
Is the rest of the funding for the position coming from the EDC then?
Correct.
Okay.
I did like when, years back, when Mr. Toll was the EDC's employee, always gave us reports, and you knew something was happening in the city. You knew that he was working hard and things are moving, so.
And there should be that reporting. You know, again, you'll have an EDA member on our board. And then also that known partnership is really going to be that organization that's going to capture what everyone is working on as well.
But if you're the person on the EDC, you will be reporting back to us monthly.
can.
If
Sure, if they want me to.
we don't otherwise, somehow.
Or as past practice is that executive director would come to our meetings, like
We sure can
Sue
do
had
that.
said, and that might be something we could facilitate as we go forward too. I agree. I think that was really helpful to, and I think what we're looking at, and maybe something that hasn't occurred in the past, is kind of a much more unified effort when it comes to everything economic development. And I think that's the whole focus and reason for the existence of the partnership. And I think this is just, I look at it like three wheels on a tricycle, and we've got one of the wheels missing right now, and that's what we need to get, is that third wheel, so we can all really kind of move forward in a unified fashion, so.
So with one member gone and two abstaining, can we vote?
Yep.
Okay,
You'll still have 3.
just, okay.
Thank you for coming back and bringing more information that we asked for last time. We do appreciate that.
Thank you for your consideration.
Yeah. I guess I do think it aligns with, we've done a lot of work on what our priorities are, what our plan is, and we do want to make progress. And I guess I would support this, see how it goes for a year, see what progress is made, and it would just be a 1-year contract at this point, right?
Yes.
Is that a motion?
I think I'm about to get there. So I will make a motion to approve the request from the New Ulm Economic Development Corporation to fund a portion of the cost to hire an executive director in the amount of $50,000.
Second.
You have a first and a second. Any additional discussion?
I'll just say that I, it is worth exploring. Brian was in that role for a while, and you're right. It's kind of been without a leader there for a while. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what they can do.
I'll also throw this in. With Brian having staffed at the Chamber of Commerce building when I worked there, he was not sloughing off. And I don't know that anybody's thinking that he was, but Brian was always working. And I would stop in, maybe not daily, but a couple times a week, and ask him what he's doing. And he always had some exciting things going on. Whether it came to fruition or not, he couldn't control that, but he could control the parts he could. And Brian did a good job in that. And I have no reason to think the new person wouldn't do the same. So I think it's a valuable position.
I guess I had one more question. I mean, how soon would you like to get this filled? And is there anybody in mind, or how is that working? You don't have to.
We'd like someone in seat in January.
January, okay.
We are working on
Awesome. Thanks. Sorry, that's all my questions.
Any additional? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried.
Do a roll call vote with two
Oh,
abstaining.
you're right, with the abstention. Thank you, Heather.
All right. Commissioner Betker,
Yes.
Commissioner Yanni,
Yes.
Commissioner Fix,
Yes.
Commissioner Peterson abstaining, and President Brom
Abstain.
abstaining. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for coming this morning.
All in favor? Did we get
Oh.
it? Did we get it?
We
all
got
in
it.
favor?
Yeah, we had, yep. Okay, item 5.2, additional funding request for Career to Technical Education Center from Capital Campaign Committee.
President and Commissioners, before you, you have another request from the Capital Campaign Committee. We had approved giving them $25,000 as a match to their capital campaign. They did receive $125,000 in donations, so they are asking for an additional 25 for a total of 50,000 from the EDA to match their donations.
Chris, did they need to raise a certain amount for the 25,000 and then, no?
No, initially they were starting their campaign. They hadn't gotten any donations in at that point, and so we just put out a number saying, "Hey, we would match up to 25,000." They received 125,000, so they came back and asked for an additional 25. You can go higher than that if you want, but they did only ask for an additional 25.
Do you know do they have an overall goal that they're trying to get to? Do you know?
I don't think so. I think they're looking at just getting as much equipment and everything in there as possible, so they don't have to use referendum money or find other ways to fund getting equipment and stuff. So anything that we can give now, they don't have to try and fund later at a later date. And again, equipment's only going to get more expensive as time goes on. So
I think I had heard a number around 300,000, give or take, that they had kind of borrowed from other funds, and they're trying to repay that back. And I don't know if 300,000 is the exact number, but it's around there. So
I will say I had a chance to tour the CTE Center. Hopefully some of you guys did as well, but it was very, very impressive. Very needed in our community. One of the gentlemen on my tour group was from Mankato and was just so excited. He was walking through like, "Oh wow, we're going to have people that are trained and can come in and can work." And they did a really excellent job with it, and they need some support. And I would be in favor of increasing the matching request.
And just for everyone's reference too, this, in case you didn't know, this is also a regional center as well. So other school districts can have students come in and stuff like that. So it's not just New Ulm only. So it'll be a good regional center for everyone. Greatly needed.
I agree. Something we need in the community and something I've supported. I would offer the motion to approve increasing our previous matching request from 25,000 to 50,000 to help the CTE Center with purchasing equipment.
I'll second the motion.
We have first and second. Any additional discussion? The only point I would like to make is, would there be a possibility, and again, I'd be supportive of this as well, if they come back and say 2022, and if there's still a need of equipment and to move forward, we can certainly, especially moving into a new budget year, can make that consideration as well. So I just think this is just such a huge plus for us in that whole workforce development, sector of our objectives to have met, and it's really great to see that come. It wasn't all that long ago. It was all just talk, and now it's actually in place. It's just great to see going from a conception phase to actual implementation. So that's been a great thing to witness in our community.
I'll let the superintendent know that, and
We'd
then
be
we'll
open,
include
yeah.
something.
I hope I kind of got that sentiment from the rest of the board that we'd certainly look at that, because I think, and it's great to hear of the support they're getting from the greater community too, with donations, and that just has to say that there's widespread support for this to succeed. So
I would agree, and that was my question. If at another point we could look at
yeah,
help them with their needs.
Yep, perfect. Okay. Any additional discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Item 5.3, Comprehensive Community Housing Study.
This is something that we budgeted for in our 2022 EDA budget. So we try to do a housing study periodically. It's something developers look for when they're looking for where to do their next project. The most recent housing study was completed in 2017, and prior to that, a study was done in 2012. So we've kind of been doing every 5 years. So 2022 would be 5 years from the last study as well. And see in the overview that several sectors in the community use housing studies as sources for growth trends, demographic characteristics, as well as demand for different types of real estate developments. The analysis provided in the housing study helps the community determine housing needs, directs the public sector's housing policies, and provides valuable insights to key issues present in the local housing market. As you know, housing continues to be a top priority for our community, and so keeping our housing study recent is imperative to attract developers to potentially do projects in our area. We would go out for RFPs if this is approved, and we would bring those back to the EDA for approval in January. The cost of the study is estimated at about $20,000, and like I said, that's been included in the budget. And then I've attached the RFP for your review, so you can see what we're looking for, what we're asking for. It's very thorough, very in-depth, looks at many different areas, and I'm imagining the 2020 census data should be available for them
Yes.
when they do this, so that will be helpful too.
Do you know about how long it takes to complete a study like this? It is pretty in-depth.
Last time, I want to say it took somewhere between 4 to 6 months. I think maybe at the 4-month mark, we got some preliminary findings, but the final study wasn't completed until about the 6-month mark. And once people find out we're doing one, my phone rings off the hook. When are we going to get it? When can we get it? I want a copy. People are signing up. So it's definitely something people look for.
Yeah, I recall, I think it was toward the end of May, that was right in the heat of the whole Emerson Union project, and
May or
the-
June, I can't.
yeah. And I'm assuming that was the same timetable. We allocated and approved it in January and got it going. And just a question for you, Heather. Just you and I have lived that 2017 period together and spent a lot of hours. Do you think it would be worthwhile, and say we would to engage like the New Ulm Partnership to create a subcommittee to act as like a housing coalition like we had done before in anticipation of this housing study? Because I think something's going to come from it, and then the question will be, what do we want to do to move forward at that time and maybe be a little more proactive? I don't know. I'll just throw that out and see what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea. Somewhere along the line, those meetings fell off, and I don't remember why. I don't know if it's because we started in the Housing Institute.
I think that really had a lot to do with it, because that whole Housing Institute, their whole shift was for a regional sort of housing coalition, and we kind of took a back seat to that, and then in working with other groups and other communities, their kind of needs took precedent over ours, and I think, and I don't mean to say that we have to ignore what goes on in our region, because we don't, but I think the focus and emphasis for us is our first responsibility is to our own community. Mm-hmm. And I think we were able to get things done, and they kind of weren't at the end of the day. And so I think that was really what kind of drove that. We would meet here one month and meet in another city another month, and the other communities kind of lost interest, and we just kind of fell by the wayside too. So I think we could do something, and especially if it hasn't gone away since 2017. We all know that. I think we still hear plenty of things about housing. We're going to talk in just a couple minutes about childcare, which is another big issue. And I think at this time, we're taking really good steps forward to address that. And I think if we could do some things relating to housing in that same regard, and maybe find a partnership with an agency or entity to facilitate some of that for us. Maybe that now is the time to kind of get those wheels going too. A lot of the data that we collect is going to be helpful for things like, workforce development, childcare development, and housing. They kind of intertwine. So I don't think we're going to lose some things, and we've got some of the same people working on some of the same things. So we're doing surveys right now with daycare. It just reminds me about doing surveys about housing a few years back, so.
Right. No, I think that would be very valuable. I agree. So we'll look at putting a group together to start meeting again in
Yeah.
2022.
What do you think, Chris? Is this something that we could facilitate through the partnership to kind of get the wheels turning and engage members of the partnership, EDA, EDC, other various groups associated with housing, to kind of get a core group started?
Yeah, that's something that we can definitely do. Part of the plan kind of after Heather gets settled in this year was we, John Nisley, myself, Dave Schnobrick, and Heather, we're actually going to start going out to developers, Twin Cities, Mankato, outside the area, to start giving them the information that we currently have, that we have access to. Currently I'm talking to one developer that's interested in doing multifamily housing in here, another one that's interested in doing projects in the city. Both of them aren't from the area. So, kind of those conversations have started. They look at, when are you going to do your next housing study, as Heather had alluded to. The 2017, the data is still relevant, but
Right.
We didn't address a lot of the needs in there, so they're chomping at the bit for some of this information. But Heather does a good job when we update our rent for Garden Terrace. She looks at all the other rental units, and so we're able to give that information. And so a lot of the developers can pencil out whether or not something is going to pencil out doing a project here. So that's some of the information that we keep current on that helps. But the housing study, like Heather said, there's going to be people calling as soon as it's done. And then it's going to be on us, as the EDA and the partnership, to figure out different ways to get them here. A lot of it might be having to help them with land acquisition, or having to help them put in streets and sidewalks, or, on the city side of things, maybe not charging connect fees for, sewer, for the utilities, and helping facilitate some of that where it's not big dollar items, but when you add them all up, it's something, and maybe other cities don't offer that. And depending on size of project. So I think getting everyone at the table, once the EDC gets a director, having them, at the table to talk to their board to see if it's something that they would, potentially put money in, or, facilitate something.
I would
So-
anticipate, sometime early in 2022,
Yep.
because that new GIS system will be in up and running by then, I would assume as well. And that would be we could even have a public event maybe for that, to roll it out and have a demonstration for some of the developers too, to show them what its capabilities, because I'm assuming that would do multifamily tracks
We can
too?
put that in there, yes. We can put a little tab in there for that. And, that's part of us going out to those developers to show them, to tell them, these are incentives. Here's a site with all our available sites, so they know us. They can give us a call if something like, hey, we need X and Y, or hey, we have someone's potentially interested, and pass them on. So it's just getting in front of them and letting them know, yes, we exist. Because while we know New Ulm exists, not everyone else knows New Ulm exists, because we're not on normal sites that we should be on at the end of the day. So when we have something like this and we give them that information, they'll be able to look at us.
Well, maybe let's circle back. Maybe we can put that on an agenda item after we've ordered the housing study to do some follow-up about getting a housing coalition going again.
Yeah, we can do that.
Not that I would want another meeting to go to or anything, but, it's all important stuff, so, anyway.
Till then, I'll authorize a motion to request, for authorization, a request for proposals for a comprehensive community housing study.
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Is there any additional discussion, or have we beaten that one to death enough? So, hearing none, let's call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Item 5.4, Rural Child Care and Innovation Program Monthly Report.
Yeah, as promised, I'm just coming back to update you on the activity for this program. We have held our first 2 meetings in October. October 15th was a in-person 6-hour orientation for the cohort team members that were able to make that meeting. That was very interesting. We got a lot of really good information at that meeting on kind of where we're going, what we're looking at. Got a lot of good ideas out of that meeting. And then we had a second meeting, October 28th, that was a virtual meeting on Zoom. It was a 2-hour planning session for 2 upcoming events. So the first event is a provider appreciation event that has been scheduled for December 2nd. So by the time we meet next, that will have happened. So that will be a very nice event for our local child care providers to come in and have a meal provided to them in a program, and I believe they're getting some training hours if they attend that as well. And that's at no cost to them. That's paid for by the First Children's Finance Group. And then the second event that's been planned is a community town hall event that has been scheduled for January 27th. Both of these events will be held at Turner Hall. And the community town hall event is for anyone who wants to come and talk about childcare, give us their ideas. We're looking for community input. We really encourage the community to attend that event if they're able to. Again, a meal will be provided at no cost to attendees. So we're just starting to promote that event and get the word out there. And we actually held another meeting yesterday as well. So recurring meetings have been set up and scheduled through April of 2022 at this point. So we're moving right along. And then I was going to ask the mayor to give us an update also on his senior subs program at this time.
I can do that by, we did 2 presentations, 4 people were interested. We never intended it to be something where we're gonna hold their hand. We told them, here's what your steps are regarding getting training. And we don't, I've not heard from anybody that they have or haven't done it, so I'm not saying it's a dead program, but we'll see how it goes. Thus far, nobody has done training that I'm aware of. Actually, that's funny you asked me today, because it was on my list of things to do is to call the individuals, say, where are you? So, good idea. We'll see if it keeps going.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention too, because I'm on one of the committees, that we're involved with the survey right now. And we're asking for everyone who can, if you're a parent, if you're a business, there are different aspects that we're looking for: employers, daycare centers, daycare providers, parents, to complete the survey. It's an online survey. It's currently hosted on the city's website. I think we're broadening that. The chamber is going to be getting it out to their members this week. I think the school district is going to get it out. So we're going to be doing some focus group, the Honorable Mayor and myself and some other members of our committee. So I think it's the more participation we get, the more meaningful data we're going to collect. So we really hope that we can get the word out on that part of it too. So
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning the survey. So that is available on the city website, newalmmn.gov. There's 4 different surveys depending on which group you fall into. There's a parent survey. We've had over 100 responses to that already. We're looking to get 200 or 300 responses, so we need more people to participate in that if you're a parent with childcare needs. Child care centers, we have 4 in New Ulm. 2 have completed the survey as of yesterday, hoping to get the other 2 to get on there and complete their survey. Out of 34 family licensed providers, half have completed the survey at this time, so we're needing to follow up with the other half who have not yet. And businesses, we had only had 2 responses as of yesterday, but as you mentioned, the chamber will be pushing that out to businesses. So if you're a business out in the community, please go on and complete the survey, because we know we're hearing from employers that childcare is an issue. So we are looking for community feedback, so if you could, please help us out and go on and complete those surveys, that would be great.
Thank you, Heather.
I'll make a motion to receive the monthly report on Rural Child Care Innovation Program activity.
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Is there any additional discussion on the matter? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Item 6.1, Garden Terrace Budget.
All right, this is our last budget of the year, which is a huge relief to me to have these done. So I just wanted to point out that the current budget, the 2021 budget, we gave the tenants a choice. If they wanted appliance and bathroom updates, they could opt in, and then they would have a rent increase, and or they could opt out and keep their rent the same for another year. In 2021 to date, 22 apartments have received the improvements, either because they opted in or because of turnover. And so we have 66 apartments at this time that have not had the updates yet, and Lloyd Management is proposing completing the updates in those remaining 66 apartments and raising the rent on those apartments to bring them in line with those who opted in this year. So everyone's rent will be the same now, so they don't have 2 different rent tiers. So selfishly, it's kind of an administrative benefit to bring everyone back to the same rent. So we're not offering the option to opt out this year. If they haven't had the updates, they're going to get the updates in 2022, and they are going to get the rent increase to bring them in line with those who opted in this year. So you can see that we do look at other market rate rentals in New Ulm. The proposed rents for the 66 units who will get the rent increase, the rents are ranging from 81 cents to $1.08 per square foot. That compares to $1 to $1.46 per square foot in the other market rate properties in the community. We are typically a little bit lower than the rest, but we are the oldest market rate rental property as well. So I don't think we'll ever necessarily be even with the other newer properties, but we do want to not fall way behind as we have in the past either. So we try and strike that balance. So you can see the rent for the various sizes of apartments and what the increases would be for those 66 apartments. Like I said, it's the same that the tenants had in 2021 that opted in. So that is probably the biggest item to point out. Other than that, we look at our expenses for utilities and what they've been running and other expenses, and we just kind of project what we need our budget to be in those other areas for the upcoming year. So pretty status quo, I would say, overall. You'll notice on the spreadsheet where we show the 2020 actual, 2021 budget, and 2022 budget, I always look at the bottom line because really that's what matters. You'll notice the net cash flow is significantly lower in 2022, but you'll also notice that whereas at capital outlays, we are budgeting for those 66 apartments to get the upgrades. So because expenses are going to be higher on that line item, obviously the net profit at the end of the day is going to be lower.
What do the bathroom updates include? Is it shower? Or?
No, it's the bathroom. It's really cosmetic. It's medicine cabinets, vanity tops, that sort of thing. The major expense is really in the appliances, going to stainless steel ranges and refrigerators in the kitchens.
Okay.
But the tenants have been responding very favorable to the changes and feeling you know, I mean, the apartments just, they are getting older and they needed a little facelift, so modernizing a little bit.
So what do you do with the old refrigerators that are still working just fine? Just curious.
As far as I know, they get recycled.
Okay.
I don't think we get anything for them. In fact, we probably pay to have them
Taken care of.
recycled. But the newer appliances too are typically more energy efficient than what was in there as well. So a little cost savings there.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2022 Garden Terrace budget.
I'll second.
You have a first and a second. Is there any additional discussion on the matter? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 7.1, Economic Development Activity Report.
President Commissioner, so this is kind of going to be a hybrid because Heather is really taking over a lot of the responsibilities and they're starting to shift to her. So I'll go over briefly kind of stuff that I've been working on, kind of closing out. But moving forward, Heather will be giving the report and then I'll chime in if I've worked on anything. So kind of the big things that I've still been working on is the process to close the mall. The county met with Hennepin County, their attorney for tax forfeiture and that process. And so I think we have kind of finalized how that is going to work. So now it's bringing the developer back to the table to make sure we're still all on the same page and hopefully looking at closing before the end of the year or very early next year on the mall. Hanska Co-op is still in their reconstruction down there, and so soon, within the next couple months, a request will be coming to the EDA to fund, potentially fund up to $250,000 to help them with their renovation out there, as currently the city revolving loan fund doesn't have enough money to cover that. And then fairly close to finishing the downtown tax abatement, working with our community development director and John Nisley, our planner, to kind of finish that up and make sure we're all on the same page with how that program's going to run. And so hopefully that'll help spur facelifts for downtown buildings and investment in those buildings because they will have some property tax relief on that moving forward. Close the loan, a small business loan with Sweet Haven Tonics, and we'll be closing hopefully by the end of the month the Spexis loan that was approved at our last meeting. And so those, and then working with someone to potentially take over the entrepreneurial consulting services. And they will be here, hopefully we'll be here twice a month, offer classes, and actually have some outside time out of being in the office to work with those businesses.
Does that mean we're moving on from the Small Business Development Center?
They have a little bit of time left. We're going to see how that kind of pans out.
Okay.
But meeting with one person interested in doing the consulting services, I think that is the way to go. And so we'll see.
Not to interject,
Yes.
just from our discussion last evening, and circling back to daycare for a minute, could we make a special sort of packet or a group of information that would be under that umbrella with that small business entrepreneurial thing for like a family-based daycare that would want to open up? If there'd be some resources that we could refer them to specifically?
I mean, we can give the consultant any information we want. And the consultant I know is really good at reaching out, would be really good at reaching out to either Heather or I for any programs, assistance, getting the consultants to the people they need to.
Well, that was one of the topics that we kind of touched on last night is developing and making aware of resources to potential daycare businesses. And really, it would be an in-home-based daycare as well as a daycare center, just to know that that would be something that would work under this program as well.
And I think that'll be where Families First kind of comes in too. They offer those services, so
Great.
letting the
Okay.
consultant know, hey, here are these they can go over, so.
Also, I had to go to the county website yesterday to look up an email for one of the gals in our group, and everything is there outlined. If you're looking to start a daycare, it just has kind of the step-by-step process and where you do the training. So that would be another excellent resource if somebody is looking to direct them to the website. So they already kind of have that rolling. It's just making sure that we know to point anyone that is interested in exploring a home daycare to just go there and kind of follow that roadmap.
And, that also is something we can potentially put on our website, daycare provider information and have a link to the county
And have us
stuff.
link it would be, that
So
would be
they
an
can either
extra
come
good
here or there,
Well, I think that's a lot of it. There's probably a lot of resources there that the general public or someone like I will have no awareness of until we kind of do a better job in coordinating. So, perfect.
Yep. And then
Wonderful.
kind of the last thing is we are working with a developer to find a potential site for multifamily residential unit. So hopefully we'll be able to assist them in that. But again,
Any idea of number of units they're looking at?
at a minimum 27,
Okay,
but
great.
depending on how much land they are able to acquire, they would be willing to do more. But at a single building would be 27 units.
Every unit helps.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay.
Heather, you have anything to add? Stuff that you've been working on, business outreach?
Well, I've started business outreach visits, so I've got a few of those under my belt and we'll continue. Chris has set the goal of trying to do at least one a week, and I've so far been able to do that. I am very busy, but I really enjoy it so far, so.
Thank you both for pursuing this, and I see action happening, and that's wonderful in our community. It's very good.
And then just one other thing, at the next council meeting, if you want to attend the work study session, I will be updating council on kind of just what the city will be doing as far as economic development, kind of throwing out there kind of the general direction the city is going to be going, and then how the partnership plays into that role as well. Because I know there's a lot of discussion about it, so kind of just, hey, this is what we're doing, and just so we're all on the same page.
And we can attend, you said?
Yes, that'll be Tuesday, probably around 5:30-ish.
I'll make them.
Oh, go ahead.
Where do you say? Go.
I'll offer the motion then to accept the Economic Development Activity Report for October 2021.
I'll second.
We have a first and second. Any additional discussion on the matter? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion is carried. We have no further business, so we are adjourned.